Delete it. Oh, we're live. Hey, we're live now. We're live. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, turn this down. Happy Thursday. Excuse the other video. We're not gonna mention that one. But hey, if you're on here, do me a favor, like, comment, share the stream. Thank you for that. Good morning. So we're gonna start off the show. First thing, always 60 seconds of gratitude. What do you got for us?
Today, I'm grateful. Let's see. Just for another day in the office full of knowledge.
Knowledge. I like it. I like it. What about you, Jay?
Grateful for a championship that me and brought home.
Nice.
No, actually, no, got it too. Yeah.
No, the coach. The coach. What about you, Josh?
I'm thankful that I'm surrounded by winners today. They won a championship last night.
Championship.
That's right.
Shannon, what you got? I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
I'm thankful for you, Cameron.
Hey, I appreciate it.
I didn't know you were doing the show this morning, but you've been giving me all the great real estate stats for my mortgage updates.
For sure. You're welcome. It helps me out, too.
Yeah, appreciate you.
What you got, Noah?
I'm thankful for the energy that you brought into the office this morning. I walked in here and your energy was just through the roof,
right?
Man, I'm so thankful, so grateful that your energy is just top notch today.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Feed off you, dude. Feed off you. Man, I'm thankful just for the camaraderie we have. I think it's super important. Just being around like people that you feel like's family, that you can just come to. I think that's super important to surround yourself like that, especially in a workplace. You don't get that in a lot of places. So that's awesome. So show topic today, Van. What's our show topic? What happens when you're inconsistent? So I have a question to start that off. Do you think starting or staying consistent is harder?
Staying.
What do you got? Staying?
Yeah.
Like starting or staying consistent? So you're
No,
saying staying consistent?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because, sometimes when I become consistent at something, I start really happy about it, and then sometimes consistency can be hard to do whenever life gets in the way, and then you still have to do that same thing that you were so excited to do at the beginning, but you feel like it's kind of like blocking your time from doing something else that you want to do. Does that make sense?
100%.
And then it's hard to keep that consistency going.
100%. Anybody else? Y'all think the same thing, or what do y'all think? Starting or staying consistent?
I think it's
Staying consistent. Yeah, no, I agree. And when I say start, I really just mean by like taking the first step. So, right, you've got an idea, and in order to make that idea happen, you've got to start. But then it becomes staying consistent. I think they're two separate things, but I do think that staying consistent is harder just because of the obstacles that you face to pursue that throughout. And so really with that show topic, why is it so hard, or what happens, when you do stay inconsistent? There's a lot of different things. And first I want to hit on like why it's hard to stay consistent. So one of the things that I think, I think people can get bored with something, right? I think you get into a routine of, right, you started, now you're getting consistent, and then you get into this routine of every day you're doing the same thing over and over and over, and you're just repeating it. Some people it works for them, some people it doesn't. I look back at, baseball whenever I would go hit. And so one thing that I struggled with early on was I'd have a game, I'd go to the facility, and I would hit, and I'd hit off the tee. It wouldn't have anybody, it would just be me. But 2 weeks into that, it kind of got old, right? I was just hitting off the tee by myself the whole time. And so at first I kind of quit, and then I reevaluated, and I was like, I just got to do something different. So, I would still hit off a tee, but I would start doing different things with the tee, not just hitting. So I'd hit backside, pull side, different things like that. So I think one way to overcome that is just, when you feel like you're getting bored with it in terms of you're doing the same thing every day, continue to do what you're doing, but switch it up. What's some things that you guys think about, like, why it's hard to be consistent?
It's boring.
Yeah.
It's like the same old thing every single day.
Yeah. What else? Anything else to why being consistent's hard?
Yeah, I mean, like he said, it can be boring, but then at the same time, like I said earlier, if something were to like happen out of nowhere and you're like, crap, I can't do this today, like that's not staying consistent. Like you're still supposed to do what you were doing like days ago.
For sure.
yesterday.
For sure. I think another thing, on why it's hard to stay consistent is just obstacles you face. I remember one of the biggest challenges for me, and I relate this back to college because baseball was my thing growing up, and I really wanted to be good. And the thing that held me back was the weight room. So I would get consistent with the weight room for like 2 to 3 weeks. Something would happen to where I might get sick and I might be out for a day or two. Or I might, stay up late and I get up an hour late. And so that hour late of me getting up held me back from going to the gym. And so different things like that. There's different obstacles that come your way that just make it difficult, and it's very hard to stay on track. And I think ultimately, what happens whenever you're not consistent, you lose track of your goals, right? You lose track of your dreams, and really you fall back into your old ways. The reason you're trying to be consistent and start this new idea is because you're trying to change the person you were to become who you're wanting to be.
That's
What's
what
up?
that's what I was going to ask. Is it that it's hard to stay consistent, or it's easy to give up on your dreams? Because I eat every day.
Right.
Ain't never gonna miss. Always gonna be consistent because I see it tied directly to my life, like my ability. So for me, whenever I find myself being inconsistent, it's because I've given up on the dream that I was working on, or whatever it was that was making me do that activity.
Right. And I think with that comes down to more or less a why, right? Like why you're doing something. And I think based on what you said, that's totally right. And I think you got to find the importance. Like, is that really important to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and if it's not important, then it's going to be easy to fall back from that. You know what I'm saying?
It's easier to beat yourself up and say, oh, I just couldn't stay consistent, than it is to really be at home with the fact that you gave up on your dream.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. What you got, Noah?
Man, just to piggyback off what Shannon you said, I think consistency all comes back to the why.
Right.
Right. When you get bored, when you slack off on these things that you start, I think motivation's a big thing that gets you started. Right. Motivation. Right. In the morning, I do Monday motivation. When you watch that video, that might get you going and get you going through the day. But consistency is what's gonna have you going throughout Monday and going throughout the week. But you can't stay consistent if you don't have a strong why, right? If your why doesn't overcome boredom and overcome adversity and obstacles that you face, then you're not going to stay consistent. So that why has to be very, very strong, so that when you encounter these obstacles and adversity, that why is so strong that you're able to overcome that.
Right. No, that's totally true. And one thing I was going to mention was we had Travion on the show. Noah brought him in. And I asked him a question specifically to this because consistency is something I've always struggled with. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it ever since I've started here. And so I asked him the question, what do you do? How do you deal with, the everyday life of being consistent, getting to the point you're at? And he's very successful, and he's going to continue to be successful. But his main thing was your why. You've got to go back to the why. And at the end of the day, that why has to be so powerful that when you do go back to the why, it puts you back on track. And if you can't do that, then your why isn't powerful enough, and it doesn't mean enough to you. So that
Find your why.
you figure out, what you're wanting to do. Ultimately, what you're wanting to accomplish. Why are you doing this, right? And I think that determines the state you're in. You get that from the state you're in now and what you're wanting to become. You just got to be honest with yourself. I think a lot of people struggle with being honest with themselves about that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people resort to the easy why, like, I just want to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or I just want to, not have to work. I feel like that's the cop-out why. And it's like, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I've been there, right? And I'm still struggling. I'm still trying to find my why each and every day, right? And just make it stronger and stronger, because that strong why is what's going to get you through. But, I think it's just really getting clear on what it is you want.
Right.
And then being crystal clear, so that why you can resort to every single day when you get bored. You can go back to that why, and it's strong.
Right.
It's clear. This is exactly why I'm doing the stuff that I'm doing.
Right, for sure. And, going back to the point of, what happens when you're not consistent, Really what that does and why it's so important, why it's difficult, but mainly why it's so important is it sets you back. Like the 1 day, the 2 days that you're not consistent, you get set back like 2, 3, 4, 10 years maybe from what you're ultimately trying to accomplish. Just the 1 day, 2 days. And so that's why, in my opinion, I think, consistency is the hardest thing to do because it's so powerful. And like I said, at the end of the day, if you're not consistent, it just sets you back.
I think one of the big things in being consistent is don't beat yourself up too much. If you miss once, but don't let it multiply.
Right.
So if you do something one day and you miss the next day, you're doing it 50% of the time. But if you do it the very next day, you're already back up to 66% of the time.
Right.
So the negatives, the misses, hurt you a lot more. You just got to get right back on it.
For sure.
If you get off a little bit, don't beat yourself up. Get right back on it because the misses will multiply quicker than the hits.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I was reading this book, and I'll really end with this one. And hopefully, I explained this good. It's called The Compound Effect. I got it from Noah. Reading it when we were on the 75 Hard, and one of the illustrations about the consistency side of things was a well pump, right? And so this guy goes to a well, and the water's super deep in the earth. So every day he's got to go pump this thing, let's say 100 times, right? He doesn't know it yet, but in 10 days, that water's going to start coming out of the pump, right? 9 days into it, this dude's done pumped 900 times, no water, right? Little does he know the water's that close from coming out, right? So he goes out there the next day and starts pumping again. Well, water starts flowing. Now it's to the point where he's been consistent over this period of time. All he's got to do is go out there and pump the well. Water's right there. It comes out. The day that he misses, water goes straight back down to the bottom. So now he's got to complete this process all over again for 10 straight days, 100 times a day. And so that's the power of consistency. That one time that you don't go out there and pump that water, you lose it all. So hopefully I explained that well. That's going to end the show. I do want to shout out Noah is going live today. Cold call on Instagram. Hey, check him out. It's going to be good. Like 12 o'clock p.m.
What's the Instagram name?
Move with Noah. Move with Noah. So check Instagram, Move with Noah, 12 o'clock p.m. live cold calls. Check him out. Like, comment, and share. Van, take us out.